Well, Nadine, Greg, thanks for joining me in the busy SDTS weekend. So I appreciate that. And you traveled a distance. You're from Cleveland, though, so
Yeah, it's not that much of a distance.
It's a great meeting. It's worth coming to.
it
for
always
sure.
is. This year seems to continue to be elevated, and 2024 and 2025 look like the years that we're going to have a couple, knock on wood, systems come into the market. And both of you have a vested interest in that, clearly. And you announced a partnership recently, Greg. So you took over as CEO of Distal Motion about 100 days ago, give or take, and you made some real important decisions. So share that.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, Joe, I think it's part of the learnings of the marketplace that you can't master everything. So and I've mentioned to you before, our focus is on building a simple yet elegant robot, building complementary instruments, and the learning that I'm describing to you is, I know that you can't do everything, and so obviously been following Proximie and Nadine's work, and it was an incredibly complementary and enabling technology for us, knowing that we couldn't do it on our own. And I think this is going to be a trend in the marketplace to have companies like ours, leverage the benefits or the core strengths of each, complementary company. So we're really excited about it. I'm excited to finally work with Nadine in a formal way, and we're looking forward to a very bright future together.
Nadine, Proximie is built it. Most people think of it as purely as a telehealth play, and you and I have been chatting over the last couple of years. It's way more than that. It's an engine, and you've been down a lot of these product development paths before that others have not mastered. So this side of Proximie's business, shed a little light on that for our viewers.
Absolutely, and I think what, as I just kind of touched on, the excitement we have is, what we're demonstrating here is this is really the way the market should start to operate, bringing the best of strengths of groups to come together to build that future of the digital, robotic, kind of enabling technologies in the operating room. What was very clear to us at Proximie and me is that, we need a really strong fundamental infrastructure, an underlying piping, if I can call it that truly can act and scale and can be future-proof around where we're going. Whether it's AI or LLMs or computer vision or telecommunication or connectivity, all of these are going to have to rely on an underlying infrastructure. And rather than building lots of onesie-twosie apps, actually build something that enables you to build on top of, and something foundational that changes the way we look at surgical care. Now, that wasn't an easy build, and trying to anneal the market to really understand why this is so important is finally coming to fruition. And what is great for us is, we want to be enabling other great technologies out there. Our role is to be the digital powerhouse that can power great and elegant robots like Distal Motion and others that support them on their journey. Rather than Greg, for example, having to build a digital team and a robotics hardware software team, they can focus on what they do best and focus on their business plans around that. Let us help you. And it's even why we took it one step further to say, we can white label through our SDK. We built an SDK on purpose because we truly believe in permeability, interoperability. Let these things come together. So you wouldn't even have to call it Proximie on a Distal Motion device. You can call it Distal Motion Connect or whatever you want to call it. This is just a tooling now. We are an extended arm of them that helps them continue to accelerate the market and focus on getting those robots out, getting through their trials, and focusing on delivering great care to patients.
And Greg, you've been around the device industry for at least 2.5 decades, right? And these digital experts, subject matter experts, they weren't homegrown in med tech because we've basically been an analog business for a really long time. And so it's always sort of, I scratch my head when I see some of these complex strategics try and do a really narrow area of expertise required that, as Nadine mentioned, foundationally is critical in aggregate to the rest of the system. And so as a leader where you are now and previous leaders, do you see that trend occurring, whether it's digital back end, whether it's virtual, whether it's imaging, navigation? You bring in partners now.
Yeah, I mean, I really do. Like I said, especially around our business or the robotics businesses, you really have underlying 5, 6, 7 businesses, as Nadine was referring to. I mean, you have visualization, you have data and AI, you have infrastructure that supports that. It's an impossibility. And quite frankly, I think it's why you see projects elongate, they stretch out even for the strategics, because the amount of work that's required to really make something great and delight a customer or a physician is probably underestimated. So again, this is why, Proximie was a great fit for us, because if not, I'm hiring 50 software engineers. We're having to build the piping and infrastructure that they provide. It would take us years to do that instead of days, by quickly signing a partnership. So to me, I think this is going to be the trend. It should be. That, if we leverage each other, we can move much faster. We can continue to innovate in a healthy way, and again, focus on what we're great at, right? Collectively.
And you probably learn a lot too, because I know I learn a lot when I work for a new client or I work for a new technology, and I really get insinuated into their business. There's so many things I learn that then become a benefit to everybody else that I do work with. That's got to be the same with Proximie.
I cannot express enough how much our engineers love these kinds of collaborations, because they say we learn as much as we give. To be able to understand the intricacy of bringing software that we've built into, to life within robotic devices, and what that means then for patient care, is hugely rewarding. There's a reciprocity on both sides. We're not the experts at everything, others aren't, but if we can bring that together, we can all learn. We can each still bring our strengths, but it doesn't mean it stops us from learning and gaining from each other. And perhaps even giving a different insight or a different perspective. Something that some of my engineers might suggest to a robotics team, have you considered this, or have you thought about that? You might be able to do this by making these tweaks or changes. That kind of collaboration can only be positive. I mean, at least it's nothing, no decision is made. At best, you sort of optimize and innovate. And then what happens is, and I kind of said it in my talk earlier, is let's stop reinventing. The stuff exists. Let's actually invent together forward. Because even what we've built and what others have built, we're such in the early stages of this journey of smart, robotically enabled digital surgery. We're all still in the early years of this. But imagine I can get you to 60% and you can get me to 80%, then together we can go to 100. Then we can move a lot faster. Otherwise, we're going to keep coming back to these meetings, keep hearing the same talks, same kind of Me Too companies, rather than saying, we want to transform the space, let's work together and let's do that. And I think, it's a credit to Greg and his team at Distal, the whole leadership team, to say, this is how we're going to operate, through partnership and through collaboration. I'm sure we'll be one of a number of their partners. Like he said, visualization is going to be a key part, navigation and others. That's how I think you move the needle faster, and frankly, in a cost-effective way. So you're not burning through capital to do all of that yourself.
Yeah, and I want to jump on the capital side of things, because you go to a whether it's a large strategic or you go to a well-funded startup, they're going to look at the number and they're going to say, how much, right? But if I look at something, I'm going to spitball. Let's say your burn is $5 to $7 million a month. Let's just say, and I can save you 6 months' time. I don't understand how that math doesn't work out to get you through whatever it is, regulatory process, V&V, first 100 patients. The math is easy. Why does leadership sometimes have a challenge with that?
Ownership, comfort,
change,
exactly. Yeah. So to me, I think people even underestimate the value of these types of things, because it enables us, this is not just a sales and marketing effort where we can bring people virtually into a surgery. It enables how we service our customers. It enables connectivity with our devices. It enables our R&D teams to be places, in real time. It literally breaks down barriers. So again, from a financial perspective or just a strategic perspective, it's a no-brainer really to do these things, because we have to be mindful of burn, right? And again, to do something on your own, like I said, in robotics, there's 7 or 8 verticals, and you have to really be mindful, or you're creating something that's not sustainable. And again, our solution to this was partnership.
And one of the things, and I want to get your point of view on this, we chatted about this in a panel today, you and I, about the ASC changing centers of care. So if you're going to put a robot, and now it's become a decentralized environment more so than an institutionalized hospital in the middle of a city, no matter how big it is, that's where it sits. But now we're putting these ASCs in these somewhat rural, suburban areas, and you've got to cover, 114 Dexters in your first year, knock on wood, right? I mean, to be able to deploy human capital to do that would be insane.
You hit one of the nails on the head. I mean, the way in which we can now support a customer, and we call it going from high touch to low touch, you know, the ability to remove people from the operating environment, and that's good for the hospital too, but provide the same level of support. So that's where I'm saying there's really probably 6, 7, 8 different pathways that we considered in this partnership, you know, again, by leveraging two great technologies.
Nadine, what do surgical robotic platforms either underestimate, disrespect when it comes to the use of a platform like Proximie?
I mean, it's a great question. I think one, perhaps not underestimated, but there's always this concern around dependency. I don't want to depend on you, so I'll just build it myself. But the challenge is, you know, solve for what that dependency is, and let's create the frameworks around it that make you comfortable with that dependency, as opposed to, let me try and do it all myself, make the mistakes 2, 3, 4 times, extend the delivery by 1, 2, 3 years. Let's just solve for what that kind of concern is. I think the second bit is actually the sophistication of the platform. Sometimes at face value, people think, oh, you're a telepresence, you're a video capture platform, and you do data insights. Once they look under the hood and realize the infrastructure, like, hold on a minute, this can manage my OpEx in a different way. This can manage my servicing in a different way. This can take my product where I can upgrade all my devices remotely. I can service my device logs. I can understand every time there's an error on a device, what was happening in the room when that error happened. I don't need a QA engineer to then try 5 different scripts to see what happened. I know exactly what happened in the room when that happened. And we timestamp it all at the same time to synthesize exactly those moments in time. Those are things that are highly underestimated of sort of value adds within that relationship. You've basically turned every device in every room to an edge or cloud connected device overnight. Now, you can then add the toolings you want to use. You might say, for these use cases, telepresence are super important. These are ASCs. We're going to build a network of expertise and provide services. In other, it's all about video capture because we're building our AI and data science expertise around navigation or whatever it might be. But you can unlock those values that are some, let's call it client-facing, and many actually OpEx-facing. And the aha moment often is like, wow, this can actually touch my OpEx. This can actually touch my R&D. This is a total game changer for me above and beyond. And what's been so exciting for me is like, Greg saw that day one. You know, in all our discussions, he's like, this is the pitch. It's all these different components. And when you have that sort of buy-in from a leadership perspective across the organization, it becomes really great then to get the engineers engaged, the commercial guys engaged, the marketing guys engaged, and excited about where it's going.
As we close out, what are you thinking about 2024 for Distal? And I'll want to know the same thing for Proximie.
Yeah, this is a big year. You know, I think over the year we're going to prove that we can delight the customer. We can solve problems for patients. We can empower robotics across different sites of care, across different geographies, and really enable robotics, and I would say a lot of underserved procedures. So this is a growing year for us. I mean, we still want to be mindful, you know, about where we are in our journey, but I think this is a year that we're going to be noticed.
Anything for Proximie?
I mean, for us, what's becoming more and more exciting as we see more devices like Dexter coming out to market is, you know, we can start to play a really important role in empowering and accelerating the development and delivery of these products, the adoption of these products. You know, no one, you know, we all want more of these devices coming to market in safe and effective ways and being used to diversify the portfolio of robotics in an exciting way where you have choice, where you can see the right robot for the right patient for the right setting, as you talked about with ASCs and others. And so for us as a company, being able to be a part of that, to power them, to enable them across their business sort of vertical, from R&D to development to sales to marketing to deployment to adoption, is super exciting. And we're continuing to invest and to develop more in the SDK and the partnerships, because I think that's the way we all move faster together.
Well, Greg, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
As always. Always.
Nadine,
Thank you. No,
always
it's great.
seeing you as
Thanks,
well.
Steve. Thanks.
I'm Joe Mullings from SDTS in Houston. The next big thing. Be well.